Welcome to the KMBest podcast. I am KMBest. He is Gerry Thompson. And we are going to start with a conversation about the Golden Gauntlet tournament, which will be happening on the 24th of this month. I will be commentating it alongside It's Guest Gaming and Super Tech God, I believe. And so we're going to have a really fun time talking about what the tournament can bring. But I do think that means that we have to start this podcast with a conversation about the elephant in the room, the large purple ridge-chinned elephant. Yes, I'm definitely talking about you. That describes you. All of those words describe Gerry Thompson. He is large. Everyone has always said that. Definitely purple. And his chin has ridges on it. Those are all things that describe Gerry Thompson, but they also describe Thanos. So I guess we probably start with, wow, Thanos is really good and probably gets better in a competitive battle mode because of its inbuilt location sort of ability to not care about them.
You know what? It's really weird. I did not notice how much Thanos and I had in common until just now.
Really? I feel like,
It all just dawned on me.
As a purple man, you probably should have picked up on that.
You would think so, but
yeah, like it's just like
thing we don't have in common.
Yeah,
thing we don't have in common. I'm pretty dumb, so
sure. I mean,
anyway,
I think reasonably people would describe Thanos as pretty dumb right now. So you might share that as well.
True. It is kind of weird how words can have different meanings.
Yeah, okay. That is sort of the formula for most of my jokes. You have gotten me there.
No, you've gotten me there several times, more times than I care to admit. Thanos still good, huh? Nothing happened to change that while I was in Connecticut for some reason, but I don't think I expected anything to happen. It's just wishful thinking, you know?
Yeah, I mean, they said they wouldn't be doing a patch until the 29th. It does sort of beg the question of, like, if you're focused on having a tournament and you're like, we need this to be our first competitive tournament and we really want it to go well, is it just a bad idea to care about what a metagame looks like in that context? Like, is it just a bad process thing to be like, Thanos is really popular, we should delay the tournament 2 weeks? Or is that good process? As someone who's been on the other side.
Yeah, I mean, I certainly have a lot of experience in this regard, and even recently in the Magic sphere, there have been a lot of instances of, you know, should this tournament be rescheduled? Should this tournament's format change? And for the most part, the TOs tend to err on the side of just doing the thing that they announced, because the players at that point have planned around it. And granted, a lot of these things are paper events, they're live events. So that typically involves like travel, hotel, stuff like that. Whereas if you are just playing remotely, it's less of an ask, but it's still an ask. And I don't think it would be fair to understate that at all, because these people who are planning on playing the event have already, you know, blocked off their calendar, maybe canceled events or said no to some events, maybe said yes to some events on whatever future date they're planning. And it does end up being pretty bad for any sort of rescheduling that you do, even if it is in the interest of doing what's best by the players, which I think is generally what a lot of these decisions come down to. But I think ultimately the best thing the TOs could do is maybe do
what just happened
from nowhere. Also, I haven't slept, so like,
yeah, you
I can't really see. I'm very jumpy. No, dude, I swear, yeah. I got a cat.
Dude, Randy Orton was right there and he was about to give me an RKO. I had to jump out of the way.
What's an RKO?
This would be a phenomenal opportunity for a good editor to edit me giving you an RKO into this, like just like a Monty Python style. Like I'm going to, like, it's Randy Orton's finishing move. It's his wrestling finisher. And it's like famously the kind of thing that happens, quote, out of nowhere. And so it's like always the surprise thing. It like RKO out of nowhere denotes you are caught off guard by something.
Out of nowhere, this 5-pound cat TOs should try to schedule things in a window that they think is going to be beneficial. And I realize that, maybe they don't have access to what Second Dinner's OTA schedule is going to be necessarily. Obviously, they don't know how the metagame is going to shake out. We don't either, right? So, I don't know. How well do you think you would do at pinpointing how a metagame is going to look in like 2 months if you were thinking about throwing an event or whatever? You're at the mercy of just random chance and happenstance. It's rough.
Well, yes. But to be fair, this event was announced like a week ago, right? And I think I could have told you at the time that it was announced that it would be a bit of a Thanos wasteland. I think I probably could have told you that. So,
yeah. And we had the OTA schedule.
Yes, and we know the OTA schedule. So, like, I don't know how early they picked this date, but I do feel like the big flag would have been, OTA schedule. Maybe don't do it in the middle of that, where they're not doing anything for a month.
But, like, what goes on in planning an event, right? It's not like you pick a date and then you're like, oh, I'm going to throw it together now. You tend to make sure that, hey, the people you want to have help you run your event are free that date, blah, 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 blah. And it's by the time you get everyone on board, you're like, all right, let's do this. Let's announce it. Let's start promoting the hell out of it. And it's just like, oh, this ends up being bad for one reason or another. And it honestly kind of ends up being one of those things where it's like, maybe there is no perfect time to hold an event, right? I think if anything, maybe a week after, or like 6 days after the start of a new season.
Yeah, that would be where I would aim, because new season is when 2 cards drop. Especially, like, my exact aim would be I would do a tournament next season when we'll have new Series 4 cards, and 2 new Series 5 cards, right? Like, as far as I understand it, like, X amount of Series 4 cards drop at the beginning of the season alongside the season pass card and the first card of the season. So that would be when there's the most new stuff. I would aim tournaments at those areas if it were me.
Right. Yeah, because in my mind, if I'm looking to put on a tournament, I certainly want it to be as big and as successful as possible, because there's a lot of competing interests where it's like, you got to do right by the players, got to do right by the TO, hope that they're getting their, time and money's worth out of this whole thing. I'm sure that they have some amount of advertisers and whatnot that also want to see a pretty good return, right? And it's like, we got to blow this thing out, because it's not like you're doing it every week necessarily. So what's the best way to do that? I think it is when there is the most fresh content, because that's when more people will be interested in having eyes on it. They'll be more interested in competing in it, just everything.
Yeah, I do think that Marvel Snap has this risk where if you spend too much time in community spaces, you come away unfailingly jaded with everything. There's just been a lot of complaining recently, and complaining about the complaining, and to some degree that's like the background radiation of any card game, where it's just,
oh yeah,
everyone wants everything that beats them nerfed, and then the other people who are aware enough to know that they're just asking for things that beat them to get nerfed are like, oh, you dorks need to figure out how to get good, but they're not necessarily applying that, and sometimes there actually are things that deserve to get nerfed in that first group, and so you end up with confusing and frustrating dialogue pretty consistently. And this is not unique to Snap. Like, I saw today Saffron Olive doing discourse about Corey Steelcutter in Standard, and it was the same stuff, just like, with the benefit of 25 years of jargon head start.
Right. 3 copies in top 8, didn't win the tournament. Is it good? Is it not good? Who cares? I don't know. Like,
well, apparently a lot of people care.
Well, people care, but who has the correct answer? No one. So what do? Every choice that you make has a risk, right? And so you ban a card. Okay, well, maybe you were supposed to ban 10 cards. You ban 10 cards. Maybe you're supposed to ban 20. It's not great, especially paper game. Things are a little bit more reasonable in something like Snap with the OTAs. And it's like, oh, I'll take a power off that. Right?
Yeah. One of the things that sticks out to me about like Snap specifically, is that they're in a bit of a no-fail situation where a paper card game is in a bit of a no-win situation. Anytime you have to make a change to a paper card game, you're screwing people over big time. In a digital card game, you have a lot more leeway to be like, okay, yes, people may have bought this card for its competitive viability, but also it's still delivering on its fundamental promise of being cool and fun, and we're just tuning it down a bit as opposed to getting rid of it entirely. There's more knobs for you to hit. You can actually do erratas in a real way. Whereas, like, if they with a paper card game, it's either you ban it or you don't, or you do the Lorcana thing, which is somehow worse. And you just sort of end up in a no-win situation in paper and a no-fail situation in Snap, which is why it's always been fascinating to me why the discourses look exactly the same. Like, no one seems to take that into account with Snap at all.
Yeah, that's certainly true, and definitely agree with you that paper is more of like a zero-sum sort of situation, and even if you're looking at like, oh, well, if you mess up too bad, you can revert it. But either the card is legal in paper or it is not. And in Snap, you can either just undo the thing that you did or iterate on that a little bit. Like, oh, maybe take away another power, change a 2 to a 1, blah, blah, blah. Like, you have way more wiggle room to work with and can take a sharper laser or blade to it or whatever.
Yeah. And it is sort of notable to me that, like, in Magic, you'll see people talking about how, like, oh my god, everyone's just a net decker. They're not willing to figure this deck out. No one's willing to put the effort in. And, you know, I kind of think that that's a more obvious thing than the people who say it think it is. Like, it's like a more obviously true thing. Like, if I have a limited amount of time to prepare for a tournament, why would I do anything other than playing the agreed upon best deck? If I am not 100% confident in my abilities to not only beat the best deck, but also construct a sort of matchup understanding of my off-meta deck that magically beats the best deck, that also beats all the other stuff. Like, I don't think people understand how hard of an ask that is. Like, it's a lot harder to do than you think.
Not everyone's a pro gamer. We're not doing this 40 to 80 hours a week or whatever. A lot of people are like, I get maybe 30 minutes a day to play, and that could be generous for some folks. And you got to use that time as wisely as you can. And obviously, people have their own preferences. Like, some people will just refuse to always play the best deck. They'll play number 2 every time, even if number 2 was previously the number 1 deck. It's just they don't want to be the person with the target on their back. They don't want to play against mirror matches or whatever. But certainly if they're looking for kind of the cheat code, what's the thing that's going to make my time more efficient? It's like, yeah, you copy a deck list, or at the very least, that's where you start, because it's like, oh, this is a strong thing. Maybe I should play with it some and see why it is strong and see how strong it actually is comparative.
Yeah, like, what beats me consistently when I play this? And the answer better not be, I'm playing it badly, because then you're going to get a really messed up understanding of the matchups. But playing any game with an eye towards why did I lose is the easiest way to get better. It's the easiest thing you can do. And I say this knowing that it's actually very hard to do that. But if you can do it, it is the easiest way to improve.
I absolutely agree with that. I cannot stress enough for people preparing for events like this. Definitely come in with what I would consider a growth mindset. Just the fact that you think that you can always be improving at something, and simply focus on that more so than like, oh, I got lucky, or like I queued into some bad matchups or whatever. Like, focus on what is helpful. Ignore the things that aren't. It sounds simple, but really it just makes the process so much smoother and means that, again, you're going to be using your time a lot wiser.
Yeah. And I think that if you are someone who's listening to this, who's in the tournament or just on ladder, my advice to you is that, especially on ladder, I think you can experiment and you should let go of your ladder ranking meaning something. I'm not good at following this advice, but I try.
Thanks,
but
man. Thanks for the validation.
In a tournament, what you should try to do is understand why the best decks are the best decks. Because I think a lot of people look at brewing in a vacuum. They're like, or they look at deck power almost in a vacuum. Like if you ask someone why Thanos is strong, they'll just be like, because it's strong. Like, what is it that makes it strong? What are those things that allow it to do what it does? Like it's not as easy to answer that question. And I think if you don't understand why it's winning games, how it's winning games, then you're not going to understand how to beat it. The easiest way to play off meta is to be a master of the meta. Because once you understand that stuff, you can start lining stuff up in your head and being like, okay, I need a deck that hits these 3 checks on my checklist. If I can't get that, I have to just play the best deck.
This is not a real example, but say you play the best 3 decks and you're getting beat consistently by something like Scream, no matter what you play, or getting consistently beaten by something like Clog, no matter what you play. It's like, now that is an actionable piece of information that you have, right?
Yep.
Where if you automatically decide, hey, I don't want to play any of the top decks because I want to be wacky and unprepared, or have my opponents be unprepared and stuff, you're never going to learn what is actually good against them. You're going to try a bunch of like nonsense and be like, I couldn't beat him with anything. I guess I won't play or whatever.
You'll do stuff that makes sense in theory, but not in practice. And I think that's the thing that gets people the most when they do brewing absent context, is they get sort of lost in their own brain. And they're like, okay, I have this card for this matchup and this card for this matchup, but they don't have like the coherent game plan that other decks have that allow those cards to succeed in that matchup. I think like Killmonger is a great example where it's like, yeah, you're not just going to be able to play Killmonger in any deck and beat Thanos. You need to play Killmonger in a deck where the disruption you're doing with him is meaningful enough that your points can overtake, right? Like you can't just like slap Enchantress in and beat Thanos. You need to be doing it in something that also has its own proactive game plan that Killmonger drags you closer to winning it. The only one of those tech cards that you can slap in whatever and still win with is like Luke Cage against Afflict, which we all know how I feel about that guy, and Mobius against Negative. Again, we all know how I feel about that guy. And it's just like, these are hard counters, but basically everything else in Marvel Snap is much softer.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And yeah, if you need your cards to line up specifically, like I need to draw my tech card to beat this one deck, it's probably not a great place to be. Nor is, well, my Thanos matchup is bad, I will simply put in Killmonger, and you find that you still lose anyway.
That can especially happen with a Strange Supreme Thanos. Like, I do think that Killmonger is really great against the ongoing Thanos deck, but the Strange Supreme Thanos is just like, I'll play 2 stones, Strange Supreme will eat them, and then it'll also eat the Sam Wilson shield, and I just don't care about anything you're doing to interact with me at that point.
Yeah, and you never have a good time to play Killmonger either.
Yep.
Sure, they can walk into it, but that maybe happens once, and then your opponent learns.
It's also open deck lists, right? You're never going to be like, they're never going to walk into it when they open the deck list and be like, oh, there's a Killmonger there, I'll play 5 stones. They're just not going to do it.
Most likely. I mean, I think that some people, if they are not used to the play patterns necessarily, may just do things without thinking about it. It's like, you need to actually see it happen first, right? And then you kind of get like the gravity of the situation. Like I'm a visual person. Yeah. I do kind of need to see a matchup play out a lot of the time, unless I have a lot of previous experience to draw off of.
I think one of the ways to understand being a good brewer is to understand it sort of like you're making tea, where what you're doing is basically like steeping your brain in knowledge until it has hit a sufficient saturation point that it is like consumable, right? And if you don't steep your tea enough, it's not going to be fucking tea. And so that's sort of how I think about like brewing. That tea is the metagame, and you drinking it is your understanding.
Love me some dirt water.
Yeah, I mean, hey, I haven't been able to drink tea since I moved to the new place because we're still living out of boxes, and I don't know where the tea kettle is. And so I've had It's so bad, actually, because, like, instead of drinking tea, I've been taking caffeine pills, which is the most degenerate thing you've ever heard, right? That sounds more degenerate than doing actual drugs, I feel like. Taking caffeine pills? Hmm?
I could take it a step further if you like.
What Red Bull adjacent vomit are you drinking today?
I'm drinking wild berry Red Bull, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm
Oh,
talking
okay.
about crushing up the caffeine pills.
Really? Does that work?
Hey, I've never done it. I've
Oh,
never done it. I just know that people do it like Adderall and stuff. I imagine it works. Maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I would not want to do that, I feel like. Because what I'm complaining about is that the dosages are too high. Like, my caffeine pills are 200 milligrams. A cup of tea is like 50 or 60. So I have no...
I think this is 80.
Yeah, like, I have no gradations. I only have 200 milligrams of caffeine to take at any given time. So there's no, like, oh, I would like a cup of coffee's worth. It's always, I'm drinking 3 cups of coffee or no caffeine at all. It's a real problem.
You could justify that by cutting the pill in half.
They're so shitty that I don't trust them to do that. Like, these are the kind of pills that as soon as they enter your mouth, they start dissolving. And it's just like, I feel like if I start cutting these in half, it's just going to be like caffeine dust scattered everywhere and my animals are going to die.
Yeah.
Like, I refuse to.
KTO, TKO, TK. Whatever the catch you by surprise thing is. Because
RKO.
RKO. I was like, yeah, TKO is total knockout. I know that, but
it's actually not. It's a technical knockout.
Technical knockout. What? Yes. Potato.
I the opposite of what you're describing. It's when someone is actually not knocked out. Like,
oh, well, I am TKO'd in my definition currently.
Yeah, like a TKO. A TKO is when, like, they stop the fight because you're getting punched in the face a bunch and you can't defend yourself, but you're not knocked out. That's a TKO, at least in MMA.
So you're awake but suffering.
Pretty much.
I take it back. That's what I am.
That's the episode title. Awake but suffering.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's Gerry T story. A wonderful sequel to, what was it, Parasocialism? The Gerry T story?
This is what they mean when they say people need to stop being woke.
One of the many things, I think.
Yeah. No, like, I think this specifically. I think they just think people need more sleep. It's a movement I support.
Oh.
Yeah, the anti-woke movement. I'm a big sleeper, you know?
The anti-woke movement, a.k.a. make siestas happen.
Yeah, dude, like, the anti-woke movement, a.k.a. me yelling at my mom when she woke me up when I was 7 years old. You know what I mean? I was a part of the anti-woke movement. How dare I broke my alarm clock. I'm part of the anti-woke movement. Eventually, I'll workshop this joke into a form that's actually kind of funny instead of a form that's, like, reminiscent of being funny. Like, right now, it's, like, not even really a joke. It's, like, a concept. It's, like, anti-woke as not wanting to wake up, right? It hasn't actually been refined into joke form yet. And when it is, it'll be terrible and mediocre. So look forward to that.
Stand for something. Stand for something.
Lie down for something. Stay unwoke. Dude, come on.
We're getting somewhere. We're making progress.
I got a tweet the other day. There's like a viral tweet going around. Thanks, man. There's like a viral tweet going around that was like, every time a Scott the Woz video comes out, I find myself Googling Scott the Woz politics, and someone tagged me and it was like, this is what it feels like when I listen to a KMBest podcast. So apparently my politics are hard to understand.
Huh?
Yeah, I know. I was surprised too.
For who?
Well, I think the thing is,
the sovereign citizens?
I think, honestly, I think it's because I'm like, you know, what you'd call like dirtbag left adjacent, which is to say,
oh yeah,
I have a fair bit of mockery for Democrats too. I'm not like a partisan, but
yeah, because
that mockery is all reserved for them being more right wing than me. Like,
yeah, either if you're not right wing, you are liberal.
Yeah,
but it's like he's saying he's saying some kind of liberal-esque things, but then he's also dunking on Joe Biden. It doesn't make any sense. And it's like, keep
Whoa,
going.
no. We can't dunk on Joe Biden anymore, dude. Did you hear the news?
I did hear the news.
This is
My friend immediately said, my friend immediately said, he was quoting a tweet that he saw, I believe, but it was like, wow, why didn't his wife help him? She's a doctor.
That was a tweet by Donald Trump Jr., by the way.
Was it?
Yes.
How could he have quoted that to me and failed to mention that?
Yeah, it was Donald Trump Jr. saying that. But
I regret everything.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for bringing that up.
I want to bring up something which is, prostate cancer, one of the most common types of cancer for men. Obviously, I don't wish it on anybody. That said, you're supposed to ejaculate 21 times a month to have a healthier prostate. So I propose that
why didn't his wife help him?
Exactly. Jerk it for Joe June. Just like in June, just make sure you go into the bathroom and rub one out for old Joe. That's 21 times. We're gonna make it. We're all gonna save ourselves from this fate.
I feel like you gotta start handing out punch cards so people can track their progress.
Yeah, it's the opposite of whatever they're calling No Fap November now, which is probably something horrendous. But we're doing the opposite of that for June, in honor of Joe Biden. Shout out Joe Biden. We're all rooting for you, baby. I wonder why people find my politics opaque,
I don't.
I can't figure out why people think that they don't know what my politics are when my politics are very clearly hashtag jerk it for Joe June.
Hashtag anti-woke, I'd rather be napping. The Italians were right all along, as much as it pains me to admit it.
Siesta is Spanish.
The first time I experienced siesta, it was on the island of Lido, as a part of Venice, or it's one of those things where they call it Pro Tour Venice, but then they take you to a shithole,
Right. I don't know. I've never been on the Pro Tour, Jerry. Nice flex.
You never left your house. You never left your house.
That's also true, yes.
I got lay-wasted to miss day 2. 4-mana Stone Rain.
Nice. That's
my
a crazy pull.
My opponent was like, so sorry. I'm like, don't be. It's fine. I'll just go explore the wonderful island of Lido. Oh, wait, everything's closed all the time because everyone is anti-woke. Ahead of the curve.
Oh, anti-woke island. God, that reality show idea.
Yo. It's just adults napping.
No. Like the other anti-woke island. Like, it's just like Jordan Peterson doing Survivor.
No, I'm not watching that.
You're not watching that? You wouldn't watch,
I had to fire a kid for watching Jordan Peterson videos on our official YouTube channel.
But I'm not saying I would watch Jordan Peterson doing Survivor. What I'm saying is they should drop a bunch of like male LARP influencers into somewhere and make them do Survivor.
It would be a shame if something were to happen to that island.
I'm just saying, like, if you did anti-woke island and you made like Matt Walsh try to figure out how to, like, I don't know, make a fire with his hands,
Is your cat's name Matt Walsh? Because she
came right
so quick to that.
Yeah, she just does this now. What she'll do is she'll jump up here and then just like stay up here for 5 seconds and then be like, bye. Like, literally just like show up. But I didn't tell you this. Like, this just happened while I was recording with Lambie. My dog goes into the cat's litter box, picks up a ball of poop, brings it to my feet in here, and drops it, and just stands next to me like wagging her tail. She's like, I brought you this. You're welcome. What is her problem, dude? It was her poop. Imagine someone doing that to you.
Dog fetching another animal's feces and presenting it to you, I don't know, it could go a lot of ways. Like when the first time the cats that I was feeding in my backyard brought me a dead bird, I was like, "Oh, it's so nice.
Yeah.
They gave me a present." And it's actually just like, "Stupid human, we see that you are too dumb to be able to fend for yourself, so we are
Correct.
providing for you."
That
And I'm
is
just like,
nice,
"Oh."
though.
It's nice. It's backhanded nice. I'm
I
used to it.
mean, look, I don't really see that much differently from like someone lending you the cards you need from your deck. You can't afford these. Here you go.
Well, right, but they're not like, "Here's your Corey Steelcutter, you poor bastard," you know?
Well, neither are the cats. It's just implied.
It is implied. I had to deal with a lot of this in the general Boston area. That's just kind of the thing.
A lot of dead birds.
No, just like the backhanded help. So like Hartford specifically, Connecticut, was described to me as a spot where people will help you, but then also give you shit for it as their like payment. Like,
Oh, yeah, I operate like that.
yeah, cool.
I do. It's true. I will constantly yap while helping you.
Well, yapping is fine, but if all you're doing is just calling me a dumb bastard for like having a flat tire or something, like something out of my control, it's just like, I mean, I have nothing but to sit here and take it. I can't do anything.
You shouldn't have gotten the flat tire.
And you're
Then.
like,
Skill issue.
yeah, dumbass.
Yeah. I was about to do a very ill-advised Boston accent. I'm glad I stopped myself from that.
Yeah, I heard a few of those too. Dude, Logan Airport TSA goes crazy.
Can I tell you a Logan Airport story?
Please.
So, the Boston fan base generally
Aston.
not known for racial sensitivity. Just like pretty commonly racist, right? Like Boston, of all the northern cities, is the one that is most known for that, even sometimes to the exclusion of much more racist places down south. And the thing I remember the most heavily about this is the New England Patriots Reddit page. They were in the middle of a search for a new wide receiver. I want to say I'm getting the names right here. I'm not positive, which is a kind of a layer of irony once you hear what the story is. There's a picture of just a random black guy with dreads at Logan Airport. And someone is like, "Spotted Larry Fitzgerald at Logan Airport. Do you think he's signing here?" This happens. It's not the first time I've seen this happen on the internet, but it is sort of the canonical one to me, where it's just like, nope, that's a different black guy entirely. That is a totally different person, not the person that you're talking about, 100% different. But like posted wholly unironically on the Patriots sub, some guy was like, "I saw a black guy in Logan Airport. It's got to be Larry Fitz."
Guess he's signing. It does kind of make me wonder. Like, you always hear about missing person reports and how you get a bunch of like false reportings and stuff. And it's also kind of weird because obviously, you know, the white kids that go missing tend to get publicized a lot more, and there's like more care put into like actually finding them and whatnot. But it's like, I wonder how much worse it actually is when it is a person of color, where it's like, "Oh, here is a missing person," and people are just like, I saw a black person. It was probably them."
I literally cannot distinguish the features of people. It's crazy to me. It's crazy. Yeah. Like I grew up very sheltered, but I still grew up in like a city, right? So like this is not an affliction I suffer from. Like I can't say I've ever been like, all of you look the same to any race except white people as a joke, because it's kind of funny in that context.
I was gonna say that if you weren't, honestly.
Yeah, like it's very funny to be like, all you white people look the same, but it's like, yeah, I don't know. It's
the amount of people that come in here and say stuff like, "You look like Glenn Jones," and it's like, which one? And they're like, "Oh, both."
We are both white.
Yep,
It's true.
you're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Exactly true.
I won't ever say that you're wrong.
Glenn and I share the fact of being white and having dark hair and having beards, maybe. His is an actual beard, though. I just, like, let things grow. People don't know this. I can't believe I haven't told this story. I own a razor, but my cat has systematically stolen and lost every single thing that you would use to get different lengths. So I have a 5mm and I have the base razor. And everything I do is just guessing with those lengths. That is what I own. And so that's why you always get shaved to full here, and then like maybe a little bit of a trim here, and then this is just what it is.
I feel like there are solutions to that problem. And
yeah, but I don't want to do any of them.
Your best bet at this point is to get your dog on it, because it seems like she likes bringing you stuff.
If only she solved problems in this way. She only solves problems I don't want solved. Like, can you get me some poop? That's not a problem I want. Yeah, like the lack of poop in my general vicinity is something I enjoy. It's not a problem I want solved.
I mean, she did notice that there was a general lack of vicinity or lack of poop in the vicinity.
She picked up on it.
I'm gonna get on this.
She picked up on it, and then I had to pick up on her. This is the circle of life.
Yeah. What the hell were we talking about?
Thanos. We literally got as far as describing Thanos before we did 35 minutes of nothing.
We talked about the tournament and stuff like that. That was like 10 minutes of helpfulness.
We literally didn't. We got as far as describing Thanos as, like, we were like, oh, Thanos, purple, chin ridges. Then we just started talking about other stuff. We are 37 minutes into the podcast.
Thanos is good. It is, as I would describe it, not weak. Hello, kitten. You're so
this is her third time here today. She just does this. She jumps up. She, like, nuzzles around.
4.
Yep. I'm going to try to put her on my shoulder, and maybe she'll stay. Because she really is just jumping around at this point.
Call her Matt Walsh again. See what happens.
I would rather not. She did kind of just look at the camera when you said that, though.
She's like,
I've got.
Okay, when he says it.
You could tell she's not Matt Walsh because she's not wearing skinny jeans.
Whoa.
Speaking of another guy who looks like me, you know, he is white and has a beard. We all look alike.
That's true.
The KMBest Glenn Jones Matt Walsh nexus. I'm sure Glenn will love to hear that one. Glenn's gonna love that. I think he sometimes listens to this podcast, which is insane to me. Apologies to Glenn Jones.
It is. I used to be in like pretty close proximity to Glenn Jones, and so I took his spot in a house. Like when he moved out. And you know, occasionally he'd like come back and hang with the former roomies and whatnot. They'd hang out and play games while I sat on the couch being a weirdo.
Yeah,
and I would, you know, just pick up like the random Glenn Jones commentary that honestly I don't get nearly enough of anymore, and I do genuinely miss. It's one of those things you take for granted, and it's just like a thing would happen, a person would say something, whatever, and he would just drop a little comment on it, and it's like, I can't imagine him watching this podcast and what he would say, and then also how I would react to it. It's terrifying.
I can imagine it. What I imagine him seeing is, you know, my comedic genius. I think he'd just understand the level of humor that I'm operating on, and you know, maybe we'd even be friends. We'd go out for ice cream dates, things like that. And then everything would work out. He'd buy me flowers. I think that's sort of when I imagine Glenn Jones listening to this podcast. I sort of imagine him doing so, like on his bed, kicking his feet up with his hands like this. That's kind of really that's what I want from all of our listeners.
Ideally, but you know, unfortunately, don't live in an ideal world. But yeah. I did realize this weekend I still owe Glenn Jones a game of code names.
Oh, dude, I
Not,
thought that was gonna be like, I owe Glenn Jones $1,500.
I mean, that might be true too, but not paying. I gave him one of the versions of code names for like Christmas or his birthday or something one year. And he's like, "Oh, cool. I don't have this. Thanks so much." And I was like, "Well, that comes with an additional secret gift, which is I will play one game with you."
Oh, wow.
Which he recognized as like the rarest gift he could possibly get because, as I mentioned, they would all play games. I was sitting on the couch. They're like, "Do you want to play?" I'm like, "Hell no."
I don't
Hate
even know
games. Famously hate games.
what is Codenames.
You would love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
It's
That's not.
so there are these cards that are face up on the table. There are a lot of different versions of them. And then you like so this one I think was either Marvel or X-Men, something along those lines, something where I could actually hang. Cuz if it's just like normal English words and you're like you say a word and a number. So it's like king and 7 and then you as the teammate need to pick out all the cards you think that that person is thinking of when they say that word and that number. So it's like, oh, Charles, Arthur, like you just find all the names of kings or whatever. And they have a bunch of different versions of it. I probably
That makes
butchered it,
sense.
but
No, that makes sense. It does seem like the kind of game I would like, but there's not enough of an arbitrary number next to my name that determines my self-worth. You know what I mean?
well, it's binary.
Like, if I win, I have self-worth. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yeah, if you win, you get a 1. If you lose, you get a 0. 0 is bad.
I just feel like I need my number to be like a little more obfuscated. You know? Like, if I'm going to assign all my self-worth to a number, it needs to be a number other people are competing in. Then how? Because otherwise, how else am I going to say I'm better than anyone?
You can compete with anyone in code names.
Yeah. I don't know. I always feel like a ringer whenever, like, I had neighbors who would do, like, game nights. And I felt like a ringer every time. Like, it's like, what?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want me to do? This is like a thing that I do. It's like I'll go over and I will use the principles of card advantage to beat you at whatever the fuck game you're playing. It's
Basic theory.
not fun. Yeah, it's like
things that I did not
man.
understand when I was 15, but quickly got drilled into me. And then it was like, oh yeah, like normies can't touch me anymore.
Yeah,
Right?
it's a thing. Like, I played some random German game that my girlfriend and her parents had. And like by the time we were done with it, I was very confident that I was the best player of that game in the house. It's just like because I don't have the ability to not take games seriously. I just don't have it.
Same.
It's gone. I don't know when I ever had
It's-
that ability, but if I did, I don't anymore.
No, I don't think I ever could just be like, oh, this is fun and casual, and I'm just enjoying myself. It was like I'll take it seriously and I'm bad, or I take it seriously and I'm good.
Sure. Yeah,
And
that makes
that's
sense.
kind of the only difference.
Yeah, no, that pretty much tracks to me. I think that it's like I did this in college with like whatever video games we were all playing or whatever. I was always like, all right, time to get good at it. Like, time to figure out how to be good. It's always a thing that I've done, but it's always about sort of rising. Like, one of the things that's always been interesting to me is you sort of rise to the level of your competition. And
Oh yeah.
so I didn't actually get good at games until I was playing on ranked ladders for games. Because you rise to the level of your competition. And I think that is like an underrated aspect of the good of ladders, in as much as there is anything good about like a system like that. Okay, I don't know if you know this, but
I
you
saw that.
froze you on the very funny
I
face. Yeah. Yeah. Oh man, I wish I
See,
had
I
that.
do look like Matt Walsh. Got him.
Can we talk a little bit about how I have the conservative beard? Which is to say, it's like a beard you have out of obligation to hide your roughly jowly face. Like, my beard is JD Vance or Ted Cruz's beard.
I was gonna say JD Vance coded.
Yes. Like, that's unfortunately where I'm at. I have a fairly thin chin and some chubby cheeks, and I look a little bit cherubic. And so I have the JD Vance beard, which is the let's pretend you're actually a man beard.
You did play Magic the Gathering at one point.
It's true. You ever think about like how the nerd community, which was so long thought of by those inside of it as like somehow better than the outside world, has managed to produce the actual nut low. Like whenever a nerd guy gets popular or rich or whatever, it's the worst shit ever. Like that guy Palmer Luckey who runs Anduril, which is named after the sword from Lord of the Rings, and it's a company that's about like drone bombing people. or like mass surveillance or some shit. Peter Thiel, Palantir, again Lord of the Rings, again mass surveillance, right? Like, and then you have JD Vance. He played Magic. We don't even really need to talk about that guy to understand how much he sucks. Sam Bankman-Fried, Magic. Whenever nerd culture gets popular guys, they always end up being like a worse version of the shitty oligarchs we already have. Like call me a fucking old-fashioned person. I'd rather have a Yaley George H.W. Bush skull and bones type wasp guy than any of these fucking like Hawaiian shirt wearing freaks. You know what I mean? Like at least give me someone who looks like they were born or bred to power to be the guy oppressing me. If I have to get oppressed by some guy who was cracking packs of Onslaught, that is fucking bullshit.
We were both doing that, bro.
Yeah, and we're not oppressing people. You can't give someone like me and be like, oh yeah, I should get oppressed by the guy who was doing all the shit I was doing. We have too much in common. Fuck you. You don't get to be above me. I'm better.
We weren't doing
Magic,
the same thing,
JD Vance.
We weren't doing the same thing though, because these are folks who dabble for the most part.
I don't know that that's true.
This is certainly not to say that anyone who dedicates a large amount of their time to something like Magic the Gathering does not end up being a shit human, because there are 1,000 counterpoints I could name off the top of my head.
Sure.
So that's not true, but they don't get like mainstream famous.
Right, but what I'm saying is like whenever someone who gets like mainstream famous or rich came from like nerd culture communities, they always end up more annoying and shitty than someone who gets mainstream rich and came from money.
Yeah, it's kind of a chicken or egg situation where does Magic attract the neurodivergent, or like are people who play Magic the Gathering just like all annoying and shitty or whatever? And
all I'm saying,
yes.
Palmer Luckey, Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, JD Vance. These are the vanguard of annoying dipshits in America. And they're very clearly annoying dipshits in a very different way from a Donald Trump. In a way I find viscerally more insulting because of the similarities in our interests. It's almost worse to see someone who probably had similar experiences to you become an annoying dipshit than it is to see someone like Trump, who was basically born fully formed out of the id of American capitalism.
True. I think that this is true in kind of every fan base, though, where there's always like some person or subsection of people where the actual fan base at large is more or less just like, we don't claim this person or this group, you know, like they are kind of one of us, but aren't really one of us. And I don't know, I'm a person who grew up listening to like metal and stuff. And it was like most of the people that you meet at shows are just like chill, laid back, normal people who like heavy music. And then there are some people who are just giant shitheads. It's the same kind of deal.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. It's just, it sucks because like, I don't know that there's like a famous person who likes card games and isn't this like right wing coded crypto dipshit. You know what I mean?
I mean, they're like the kids from the Karate Kid thing, the reboot.
Yeah, okay, but like we're talking like JD Vance and then Hawk from Karate Kid. And shout out to Hawk from Karate Kid, Jacob Bertrand, I believe. But
Yeah.
like not really on the same level. You know what I mean? Like
No,
it's
it's
just
not.
JD Vance is the most famous Magic player in the world, and he killed the Pope.
True. Also was a black player.
Is that
So
true?
tracks.
Is that actually true?
It says his favorite card was Yawgmoth's Bargain.
Well, that just means he's a spike. It's worse.
I I don't think he's a spike.
Dude, there's no way your favorite card is Bargain without being a spike.
Sure. Sure it is.
How?
I mean, I feel like you could very easily be Johnny or even maybe Timmy coded and like Bargain.
I don't know.
Especially if it's like if you don't play Magic for a very long time and it's like, oh, this is the most powerful card. Like we don't actually know if he liked the card or owned the card or played with it. It was just like, oh, this was the trendy thing to say back in the day. It's like, oh, my favorite card was Tolarian Academy or whatever.
That's what I mean, though. If someone said JD Vance's favorite card was Tolarian Academy, I'd be like, yeah, he's a spike.
But he's not going to say my favorite card is
Jace
trying
the
to think
Mind
of some
Sculptor.
No, I'm trying to think of some jackass card.
I mean, see, like, I would say my favorite card was, like, if you asked me back in those days, I would say Croson Cloud Scraper, which gives you an exact picture of the kind of child I was.
Yeah. My favorite card is Earthbind.
Okay.
My favorite card is Invoke Prejudice by known racist Harold McNeil.
For those who are unaware, there's a card called Invoke Prejudice that was drawn by a racist and is illustrated as a man in a KKK uniform.
I think it's multiples, but yeah.
Yes. It's early Magic, man. I guess that's what I mean, though. It's always been here. The shittier part of Magic. The JD Vance lineage.
I was going through some arts with a buddy of mine, and one of them seemed to be the person that they called on whenever they're like, we want you to draw a vaguely racist image. And it was like they just found the person who was like on call to do that stuff after Harold McNeil stopped doing cards or whatever. It was like, this is wild.
How old are we talking? Like, what set?
Certainly going as far back as Tempest, maybe a little bit older, and then like up into, you know, the Urza sets and Mercadian Mass and whatnot, and a little bit past that.
One of the coolest things about the art direction, in my opinion, for the Odyssey block is they were like, everyone has to look the same. So every barbarian in the Odyssey block is wearing the exact same hodgepodge armor. So, like, they all have the same exact design as Kamal. They all are wearing Kamal's armor. They're all bald. They all, like, it's literally, it's one of the coolest things they've ever done. And by coolest, I mean, it's very stupid, but it appealed to me as a kid. Because when I was a kid, that was like what I wanted to grow up to be. I wanted to grow up to be a barbarian in that armor with a giant sword. It was sick as hell. I did not pull that off, obviously.
I sent you a card art. I don't know if you're going to recognize the card art, nor do I know if you can alt tab.
I can't alt tab,
phone.
but I can check on my phone. Oh. Oh, that is odd. Why did he sent me an art and it's like he's probably talking about the guy facing front, but I'm talking about the little man wearing a the man wearing a yarmulke with the crescent moon and the Star of David on it.
Yup.
What's up with that?
It's all kinds of bad.
That's
This
very
is the
odd.
card Coercion. This is from Visions. It also got reused in both 8th and 9th edition.
What
They're
is
like, it was so
implied?
good,
What is implied to be
let's run it
happening here?
back. Well, this evil brown man is coercing this nice, innocent, yarmulke wearing child.
Is the idea that the child is being coerced into wearing the clothes of the evil brown man there? Like, is the idea that he's indoctrinating him? Or is the
For something.
Jewish Muslim child the is that meant to, like, basically what I'm getting at is the child's state of Jewish Muslimity meant to represent his purity, or are those the robes, the Jewish Muslim robes that have been put on the child via coercion? Because that seems like a much more, like, if you're being a racist, that feels like the direction you'd go.
I don't know if this helps or hurts. The flavor text is a rhino's bargain. Femeref expression meaning a situation with no choices.
Yeah, I'm reading this as, because the robes look similar, I'm reading this as the big evil man is the Jewish Muslim priest who is like forcing this kid to join him. And I realize it's confusing that I'm using these words for anyone who isn't looking at the art. The kid is literally wearing robes with the crescent and the Star of David. It's not subtle.
The 8th edition flavor text is human tenderness is simply weakness in a pretty package. I don't like that.
I don't like it either. Did they change it for 9th?
Of all that I have lost, I miss my mind the most.
That feels like the flavor text for like a blue card.
Yeah, I don't know.
That feels like the flavor text
Anywho.
for like that feels like the flavor text for like Mind Break Trap.
Thanos, huh?
Wait, hold on. Is that him talking to himself? Hold on. Is the idea here that it's the older version of him talking to the younger version of him?
Coercing himself?
I don't know, man. I'm just really stuck on the combination of religious garments this kid is wearing is really freaking me out. Like, he's got the yarmulke. He appears to be wearing a keffiyeh, and then the crescent and star of David.
Oh.
It's like a whole, like, there's some sort of political statement to be interpreted here. I have no idea what it is. And the closest thing I can figure is that this person is racist against both Jews and Muslims. But maybe it's like a different political synthesis statement. It's a very confusing piece of art.
Look at other art by this artist. It's like every third card, you're like, that's kind of racist.
I don't even know if this is racist so much as it is confused. It just strikes me as, like, not coherent.
This was not the first card we saw. This was one after we had already formed an opinion. Mm-hmm. So, like, the initial take was like, well, this is certainly racially charged to some degree.
I don't know what he's trying to say. I know he's trying to say something.
Me either. But like, there's something going. You don't choose this imagery.
No.
Accidentally.
It's a very weird thing to choose. I mean, here's the thing. I bet you could choose this imagery accidentally if you were just like, I need something to convey mysticism, and you mixed up a bunch of like Kabbalah and Arabic shit, and that's what came out. You're like, I'm trying to convey, Middle African mysticism. And that's what you end up with. Because you're doing it for the Femeref, right? Who are like a pretty clear, like, nomadic Bedouin ripoff, if I recall correctly.
I think that is correct, but I don't know, man.
The point is, you could very easily produce this art by being ignorant instead of by being actively racist.
Yes, but as I said, look at the other art.
Sure. You want to talk about Thanos?
Is good. It's not weak.
It's pretty good, yeah. It's pretty good.
It requires Not a ton, but like a non-zero amount of like, oh, I have to try and beat this deck.
Yeah, it's. I think the real best argument against Thanos is that it's just like a good home for 8 million tech cards. And I think that sucks. But like, if you ask me, I would try to figure out a way to nerf the deck without nerfing Thanos' ongoing synergies. Like, I want to make this deck worse, but I want to leave Thanos ongoing alone. Does that make any sense?
Oh, it does for sure. You're just basically doing the same thing where it's like, oh, I'll take a point of power off Sam Wilson or whatever. It doesn't fundamentally change anything drastically, but it does just weaken the overall power level of the deck. And you like what's generally going on here.
Yeah.
You know, it's not that unfun to play with or against. It's just like the number is a little too big, right?
I think they should get Mockingbird.
I like that card. I wish that card was more widely applicable outside of Thanos.
I think what they should do to hit Mockingbird is give her Victoria hand text. I've long been in favor of just being like, the shit doesn't work with Thanos. V-hand text already exists in the game, explicitly works with created cards that are not Thanos stones or Arishem cards. Just do that. Just do it. Just give Mockingbird the V-hand text.
And adjust the numbers to whatever degree.
Yes, make her like a 6/12 or a 5, a big 5 or whatever the fuck. Just make it so the cards have to start in your hand. I don't really care, but it gets rid of her Sam Wilson shit. It gets rid of her. I wonder if it gets rid of her Mysterio shit. That would probably be all upside to me, frankly. That working is like a very annoying little thing. It gets rid of her stones. It gets rid of her Arishem. All the things that suck about this card are related to the fact that she has generic text and not the V-hand text. And they were clearly, like, in as much as it is a bad idea to put doesn't work with Infinity Stones on it, once that text gets massaged enough and ends up at the V-hand text, it is clearly acceptable to put in the game.
Agreed.
I
would then want to see a little bit more support.
Absolutely. That would open you up to being able to make more support. Because right now you kind of can't. Because if you do it, it makes Thanos better every time, right? Like, she got the tiniest bit of support in the form of Sam Wilson, and Thanos is back because now she basically gets to be unnerfed in the Sam Wilson Thanos deck. It's like, okay. Like, the fact that you're playing Mockingbird in every ongoing Thanos deck is sort of just like, okay, we get it, right? Like, do something to Sam Wilson, do something to Thanos, do something to Mockingbird, call it a day.
I'm down.
I think
610 Thanos.
Yeah. What's really bothering me about Thanos is that it's subsidizing the tech cards. And I think that if you are going to be a deck that plays 50 tech cards, you should at least have the decency to have like maybe 15 points in a lane at most. And Thanos does not have that decency.
Yeah, no, he doesn't. Nor do I. It's another one of our similarities, KM.
Yeah.
I kind of wish that Snap had a thing that was sort of like a neutral faction where maybe there's a limit of like 2 per deck. And the tech cards could kind of fit into that.
You're saying just like no way to run like Mobius and Shang and Ensh at the same time or whatever?
Right. Because realistically, you shouldn't want to be doing that unless something is kind of borked.
I think Mobius is a really, really sort of load-bearing card right now. In the sense that, like, I don't really think people have grasped how much better Esme Kaku made Mr. Negative. I don't think people have figured that out. It's a lot.
A lot.
Like, that is a card that, like, that deck now is just straight up, if you don't have Mobius, you're probably going to lose. One way or the other. Like, you're probably just going to lose.
I don't know how often they were doing this before, but now it's just like, well, just play Rogue also 100% of the time, because kind of the only way you really lose now is via Mobius because you are so consistent. Like, if you draw a combination of like Esme with Magic, you have plenty of time to just deploy your things. No negative needed.
Yeah. I actually think that like that deck and like Gore specifically has basically always been on my shit list for usually the exact same reason, which is like, unlike every other 6 drop, he gets doubled way more effectively. You can't Mystique a Red Hulk. You can't do any of that shit, but you can Mystique a Gore. You can Esme a Gore. You can Mr. Negative a Gore. And so for that reason, he's just always been more offensive to me than cards that had better win rates because they went in better decks. Like, he is. If you were to make me name one problem with Mr. Negative, Gore is that problem. Because what he's done is enable the deck to limp. The deck can limp now because it can just like, there are games where it'll just play 3 Gores. And it's like, okay, that's great. We both had fun here. We played 3 Gores.
And you sprinkle that with some Iron Men,
Ravonna
maybe
Renslayer.
some Sages.
Yeah. Like, it's just like, it's not like, he's just big enough that you'd just be like, oh, I win this lane regardless of the fact that you spent multiple turns on it. And now I have 3 of that guy. And that's not me comboing off. That's just me existing. And so Negative is this deck that it's like, I kind of think that if like the best deck wasn't Thanos that included Reality Stone and Mobius in it, Negative would be a much bigger presence in this meta.
I think so too. So I don't know. This is honestly a dub in the Thanos column. Good job, Thanos.
Like,
I hate to give it to him.
I gotta tell you, I'm pretty disappointed with how Esme Kaku sort of landed, right? Where it's like, if they made it a 3-5, it would be played in everything. At a 3-4, it's just the best Mr. Negative card of all time. Like, the single best upgrade they've gotten since Gore.
Yeah, it does end up playing a little bit clunky. I think things would be a little bit different if the V-hand stuff was more real, or if mid-range with like an Iron Man and a Gore was more real, but it's like, we are just not even close to living in that world. And obviously there's like cutesy stuff you can do with, Quinjet or whatever, but it's like, you're not doing anything that puts up enough points to compete with everyone else, unfortunately. So I don't know if the right solution is necessarily buffing Esme outright, because that certainly does not solve all your problems. So again, similarly to the Mockingbird thing, it's just like, I think this stuff just needs a little bit more support and can maybe get there eventually. But either way, I do think the card is pretty fun. I've had some like really cool moments where, cost power on some weird stuff does end up mattering. You get a second copy of a thing that you end up drawing later, adds consistency. You're Mr. Negative, which is fun for me, but not for you. And, the card is very cool. I agree with you. I am unhappy with where it landed. Just kind of sad about it.
Whereas Surge, I'm overjoyed that she ended up doing what she did. Like, Surge is just a really cool card. Like, people are gonna like, what I find fascinating about Surge is Sam Wilson and Iron Patriot comparisons will abound, in my opinion. But to me, she's clearly worse than both. She's like, if one of those, she's like the most fun of them and also the weakest of them, which is awesome. That's a great thing to hit.
I think so too. I have had a lot of fun with it. I still have never hit a Kitty Pryde in my life. I don't know what's going on, what I have to do, who I have to pray to, who I have to coerce. But man, it's not like I haven't been popping off. I've been popping off. Like any location that gives you a second copy of Surge, huh?
He's popping. Trust me, audience. He's popping.
That's a reference to something. I don't know what though.
It's not even a reference to anything. I just thought it would be funny to be like to try to back you up as if you were concerned about people not believing that you were popping off. I thought,
audio listeners, he is popping off.
Yeah, he is popping off. Okay, you can trust us. Gerry Thompson is popping off. Okay, there is I feel like, and then what the idea would be, we keep going on that to make it clear that you definitely are not and are overcompensating. That was sort of the idea of the joke that I had in my head.
Love drawn Surge on turn 3.
Do you really think someone would get on a podcast and lie about popping off? Hashtag pop off for Joe June 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, I brought it back.
Yo, that was. It could be because I'm very sleep deprived, but that was really good.
The prostate pop off 2025.
Yeah.
Shout
You
out
can
Joe
shorten
Biden.
it to like Pros pop off.
Oof.
Make it sound more cool.
Oof. I feel bad, but it actually is actionable advice. You are supposed to 21 times a month to have a healthier prostate. That is actually true.
I don't know if you still have to hashtag this is not medical advice kind of thing, but whatever.
It's not
It's your
medical
show.
advice, but as far as I know, that is actually true. You're supposed to jerk it 21 times a month for Joe.
What if your primary care physician came in and was just like, well, as far as I know, blah bitty blah.
I'd probably be wondering why they said that.
Right.
I'd probably be wondering how do you know? How do you know I don't do that, sir, ma'am?
And how far do you know? Now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, are you tracking me? Have you installed a bug in my bathroom / bedroom / backseat of my car? All the places where
wherever I do be popping off.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is in the cloning vats, you know?
Dog, that's real. That's real.
It's not bad.
You pop off in the cloning vats? You drop some venom in the cloning vats, bro? This is either the best or the worst episode of this podcast we've ever recorded, I think. Because like 20 minutes in, we got to jerk off for Joe.
We
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not even going to sit here act like I hadn't been thinking about that joke for 12 hours. That's 100% true.
Why'd I push back the podcast? I could have.
You're right.
Avoided this whole thing.
I wouldn't have had this joke if you had actually like stuck to our normal time. I wouldn't have had this joke.
Let's be real though. This does feel fated to occur. It does feel like in the heat of the moment, had I not pushed back the podcast, it would have come to you in a flash of light.
Yeah, it would have.
That's on me.
Yeah, it is.
I spent this weekend taking ownership of things, taking accountability.
Did you actually? Is that
one's
true,
on me.
or is that a bit?
A little bit. My weekend was kind of a shit show, and I don't know. It was kind of good in a lot of ways. Do you know what it feels like to trust someone 100%? Because I think I finally figured out what that feels like this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah.
Never in my life have I felt this way.
Like, are we talking in a romantic sense or in a platonic sense?
Platonic.
I've trusted a lot of people. I'm a very trusting person, actually. It's pretty easy. I pretty much do what I say. And so I usually just expect other people to do the same. And so I'm continually caught off guard when that's not true.
Same. And it happens a lot. And especially once you betray my trust once, but like, you know, maybe you take what appears to be the right steps to amend such a thing. I do what I consider to be the quote unquote correct thing, which is like, okay, I'm going to go back to trusting you. But I think my subconscious is just like, well, you know that they're probably going to blow it again, or you were just expecting the other shoe to drop kind of thing. But this weekend,
oh, go ahead.
Oh, just this weekend, a thing happened where I was like, I don't actually feel that way. I'm not worried. I'm not mad. This thing happened. I was just like, yeah, I'm actually just not mad. I don't know why you did the thing that you did. It doesn't make any sense. If it was literally anyone else, I would be mad. And then they explained it to me. It made total sense. I could not fathom universe and where it would have made sense. But I was just like, That does make sense. I get where you're coming from. I forgive you. And I don't think you're going to screw me over in the future at all.
This dynamic you're describing, how does it apply to the disappointment you felt when I used AI to predict Trump's trade policy?
Betrayal.
Yeah, no, I'm saying like do you feel that way towards me? Are you like,
yes,
he's gonna do it again? I'll never forgive him. He will always do it again.
No, I will forgive you,
but you won't.
But I will be expecting you to screw me over in the future.
I have screwed you over for the last time. You know, he never followed up on that, so I'll never know if I was right. My theory, for those wondering, was he like, there's this thing that they've done where they just like chuck trade policy into Chat GPT and then like lie backwards to try to enable it. So the day Trump announced his movie tariffs, I was like, okay, if I ask Chat GPT what that would be, then I will have successfully predicted this. I thought it was a good bit. I told Gerry, and he was like, you fucking asshole. You can't use AI even for that. And he's right. But have I broken the trust for the last time? Will I use AI for shitposting again? Is it all over for me?
A non-zero amount of people that I expected better from this weekend who were propping up an NFT card game.
I have never done that, and I never will do that.
And I was like, why are you doing this? And they're like, oh, it's funny, or oh, they're giving me money, or whatever. And it's just like, you that hard up? You need $100 that bad?
I turned down a sponsorship from a game with an IP that I really loved. Because they were NFT. And they were like going out of their way to not be NFT. Like they were like trying to like portray themselves as not that. And so I felt like it was a bad idea for me to get involved in that because of that. And I really wish I was able to do that sponsorship, but I just was not able to do it because of that.
I love Ni no Kuni, and then they came out with an MMO, and I was like, that could be cool. And then it was like, oh, this is actually just some crypto slop. I was like, why?
Yeah. I think the worst thing about me is a lot of things become justifiable to me if I think they're funny. Like, I'll break a lot of moral lines to make a good joke. I feel like.
Yeah, but that's the thing. In this instance, it wasn't even a good joke.
I thought it was a pretty funny joke.
No. I'm saying the stuff that I was dealing with this weekend.
Oh, okay.
Specifically, your stuff was also not funny, but to be clear, I was talking about mine.
It was funny. Okay, one of us.
Do you remember
humor?
Do you remember / were you around for the Tigtone stuff of SCG?
I'm familiar, but every time someone like there's a streamer named Tectone who's always in beefs with people.
He sucks.
Yes, and like last I heard of him, he was unable to stream with his dad anymore due to his dad being in the congressional record for rape allegations. Anyway, every time I heard about Tectone, I was like, isn't that the guy that used to sponsor SCG?
I mean, that's gas. That is gas.
I was like, damn, why do I know that name? Turns out two totally different things, but I did think it was the same guy for a little bit.
Their thing was Tigtone from the creators of Tigtone. And it was like this garbage ass show. And people were like, ha ha ha, these playmats are atrocious. I'll use them for the memes. And people are treating this like that, except it's like, I don't know, killing the planet, you know? It's just like, these situations are a little bit different.
I suppose. I don't know. But like I said, this is the worst thing about me. Like, there are very few moral lines I won't cross because I think it's a funny gag, you know? Like, it's like it doesn't count. Except it does count, because your actions matter.
Right.
Yeah.
You're like, haha, I bought a Cybertruck because it's funny. It's like,
okay, there's nothing funny about that, but okay. The only guy, I remember a guy in college who
Pop off for Joe
that is funny.
in your brick.
Well, no, pop off for Joe is just objectively funny and actually good advice.
Hashtag not medical advice.
You are supposed to do this. It's like from the I want to say it's like from the American Medical Association. Like been discussing prostate health. You are actually supposed to ejaculate 21 times a month.
But what if I'm
right.
I'm not gonna further this. I'm not gonna further this.
Okay.
I was trying to loop in the Cybertruck to you jorking it in the back seat, popping off.
I know
in
this
the
sounds
Cybertruck.
insane. Like, do Cybertrucks have back seats? They're designed so
I don't
weirdly
know.
that I have no idea. Like,
do they have seats at all?
I imagine
or are you
them
just
to
crawling
be
around like a little baby in there?
It's just like one front seat and then a weird long trunk. Is sort of what I imagine the car to be. It's like one of the things that I've noticed is I've never seen a Cybertruck with a family in it. Just never seen it. Not one time.
Every Cybertruck I've seen, oddly, has the same person driving it.
Okay, now we're getting like single. You just gonna name a name or what?
And it's just because all white people, especially people who drive Cybertrucks,
right. We all
look alike.
Right? Yes, of course. Yes, it's true. We do.
Audio listeners, it's okay. I'm white.
Well, they can tell that because they're watching a podcast that has two identical people on it. Like, they know. We're on the thumbnails. There's just two identical people on the thumbnails every time. We look exactly the same.
You could be like Google homing or Alexaing this. Alexa, play me some slop podcast about Joe Biden. Sure, Hunter. Playing the KMBest podcast.